Hello, this is Craig Mertens. I'm the General Manager of GraphicsFlow. Thank you so much for joining us on Decorator Academy. We are going to get into some little bit more complex stuff today, and we're talking about graphics. And what we're going to talk about today is adapting graphics for different production processes. It's kind of interesting. When I set up clients on their GraphicsFlow account initially, one of the things I do, actually, I'll show you, I'm on your GraphicsFlow account. One of the things I do, if you go down here to account settings, you got all the kind of initial stuff, but one of the things I do is I always set up your art, your graphics processes. And if you go into your My Art section in your GraphicsFlow account, and it doesn't really matter what folder I go into, and there's my logo folder, click on any image. This is where you can set up your art processes. And the processes that I have set up are pretty much all the ones that you guys do. So if you go over here to decoration method, you can see I have applique in there. I've got direct to film transfers, direct to garment, embroidery, laser engraving, multi-decoration, rhinestone multi-decoration, screen printing, solvent inkjet print, sublimation, UV printing, vinyl transfers, white toner digital transfers. Holy smokes, that's a lot of processes. And the reason I do that is people in the decoration world, whether you're sign makers, awards professionals, or apparel decorators, you guys are dealing with a lot of processes. And each one of these processes has different ground rules for prepping the graphics. And you know who doesn't know how that works? Your clients. They have no clue. They just pick out a graphic and they're like, hey, put this on, put X graphic on Y product. And, it may or may not work. And that also comes into play for those of you that are involved in print on demand. So for instance, I was talking to a good customer of ours just before the webcast, and they're of a uniform company in Florida, and we were talking about how they were utilizing web stores, and they have two pieces of equipment. They do screen printing, embroidery, and she was explaining to me how she didn't want to do print on demand because it's too much work. And I was like, yeah, print on demand is a lot of work when you have screen printing equipment. And what I mean by that is setting up a store, fulfilling the orders as the orders come in, or weekly, right? You can't really do that with screen printing, but you can do that with like transfers, or especially the new direct-to-film transfer systems that you're seeing out there. But we were talking about the reason that was holding her up was because in order to screen print, they have to set up screens, they have to burn, create film, burn screens, set up the press. It's not something you're going to want to do for one shirt, right? Whereas if you have vinyl graphics, you could cut it to vinyl with your vinyl cutter. If you have sublimation, you can do one shirt. Embroidery, you certainly could, make them as the orders come in. But one of the reasons I was kind of advocating this is what the consumers want. The consumers don't really want to have to do stocking orders and distribute shirts. They just want to be able to send their people to a phone app and go on and pick out a product and place their order and be done with it. And so with that being said, there's things you can do on the art side if you're forward thinking that can kind of eliminate some of the headaches and give yourself a little bit more production flexibility with the graphics. And so on the hierarchy of restrictive things that require more effort and energy to prep for graphics, on the hierarchy, the absolute top of the hierarchy, the biggest pain in the butt processes to deal with, absolutely positively screen printing is the biggest one. Because screen printing, we have to have the artwork set up absolutely perfectly. There's no variation. It has to be done perfectly. It has to be in a set number of colors. Those colors have to be Pantone or spot colors. You have to set up things like choking and underbases, and you start getting to the high-end photographic printing where you're dealing with halftones. That's going to be at the top end of the complexity scheme for production processes. At the bottom end of the complexity screen for production processes is going to be any of your digital output on lights. If you're digitally, like sublimation would be the prime example of that. You're digitally printing onto light substrates. The only issue with that is you're dealing with color correction, which we'll get to. We're going to definitely talk about color correction in the class. And then you have all kind of the middle ground things. Embroidery, I'm going to throw that over on its own deal because that requires digitizing. We will talk about that a little bit in class today. It's kind of its own little island, very specialty thing. And vinyl graphics kind of sits there in the middle. And so if we're forward thinking about our graphics, we can very easily adapt those graphics to a multitude of processes. And that's what we're going to be working on in class today. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my mug off, and then we'll just go ahead and we'll get that computer screen going over here. So let's go ahead and turn off the webcam. And now you should see just my screen. So purposely, I went in before class, I went in and I selected one of the graphics that I wanted to work on in class today. And the graphic I selected is from the latest design drop from GraphicsFlow. And this is where we come out with new designs. So if you're not familiar with GraphicsFlow, I'm in my GraphicsFlow account. GraphicsFlow is a web app. This is where we want you searching for artwork. When you're using, whether you're using our Smart Designer software or you're using Adobe products, we want you searching for artwork using the GraphicsFlow system. Why? This is easier, and it's easier for me to go in and search. It's very quick. We have high resolution previews. I can search by style, and so we can do the same thing with clip art. So if I'm finding, an image that I need to use for a specific, process, so to speak, one of the things that I might want to do is look for it by style. And so let's say, one of the looks that's real popular right now is this whole patch thing. So if I wanted to go and do, like say crest designs, we'll do that and then we'll add patches afterwards. So I want to look at crest designs that kind of look like, crest, so to speak. And then maybe I want to look at possibly designs that are related to patches. Oh, I got a little slow internet here today. There we go. And maybe look at patches. I can really kind of just drill it down by subject matter because we have all those search capabilities. So this is in my opinion, is the easiest way to select a graphic, because also I can click on it and I can see the full screen version of it. So I can really see what's going on with the graphic. And this particular graphic, the background is knocked out. So you can, see what's going on, like what parts are punched through. Here's all the keywords associated with that graphic. Here's the fonts that were used in the graphic, which it's nice to know. In your GraphicsFlow environment, you would have already downloaded all of the master set of fonts. So in CorelDRAW, it's not as important because in CorelDRAW has the fonts are embedded in the document. So if you don't have the font installed, you're not going to get a substitution when you open up the design template file. In Adobe Illustrator, you will get a substitution when you open up the design template file. So it's very important to install the font so you don't see that. For Corel users won't really notice that. If you're a Corel user and you have not installed the fonts, you will not be able to use them for your own graphics that you're building from the ground up, because if the font's not installed, you can't pull it up. It'll just simply be in the design template that you happen to open. It's embedded in that document. So, the way we're going to search for a graphic here in our GraphicsFlow account is we're going to go to Design Ideas, and we're going to look at the new drop that just dropped, and I'm going to scroll down, and the graphic I selected was this one right here, this Madison design. And so we're going to select this Madison design, and you notice the Madison design has a green check next to it. The green check is indicating that it's already been downloaded once, and as a result of that, it is not going to count against our monthly download limit. And so the monthly download limit in my account level, which is an elite account, is 300 downloads a month. That's a lot of downloads, but I could download this one 100 times and it's never going to count. It's only going to count the first time. And so two ways for me to download the graphic. Way number one is just by going over here on the little three dots and clicking CDR. If I want to see a bigger version of the graphic, I can click on it and I can see a little bigger version of it, and I could go down here and say download as CDR or AI. In class today, I'm going to be working in CorelDRAW, but it works similar in Adobe Illustrator, except with one big caveat. When we're doing the work in CorelDRAW, we're going to be utilizing a program that works inside of CorelDRAW that's supplementary to CorelDRAW called Smart Designer. And I have my software configured so that when I click on these files, they open up directly in Corel. And let me show you guys how to do that real quick, because that's something I get asked about all the time. So in Chrome, as well as in Edge, and you can do this in Safari. I'm just gonna tell you, I'm not a Firefox guy. Firefox is a freeware program. It's a little shady. It does not run third-party web apps well. So if you're a Firefox person and you report a bug to us, we're like, so try again. we don't use Firefox as a benchmark for web programs working properly, because Firefox is it's shareware, it's non-conforming. So, you got, people like just random programmer dudes working on it, so for free. So we want to see you in one of the three browsers, Microsoft Edge. We want to see you in Chrome, or if you're a Mac user, we want to see in Safari. My suggestion is Chrome. Chrome works wonderfully well with web apps, and we are in a web app right now. So considering we are in this web app, I'm going to go to the little three dots over here, and I'm going to go down here to More Tools, and I'm going to, or excuse me, to Settings, and we are going to click on Settings, and we're going to click on Advanced. And when I click on Advanced, you'll see an option for downloads right here. Okay, downloads. I'm going to make this button right here, I'm going to push it to the right so that it lets me decide where I want to download that file. And I'm going to go ahead and clear this. So this is automatically downloading my CDR files into CorelDRAW. I'm going to clear that so I can show you how I did that. And then we're going to go over here to Edge. We're going to show you the same thing in Edge. In Edge, it's a little different. We go over here, we go to Settings, we go to Downloads, and we click on Ask Me what to do with each download, and we activate that. Edge is actually a little bit better when it comes to this stuff, and I'll show you why in a second. Because with Edge, it lets you decide if you want to save it to a specific file, folder, or open it, or do both. And that's kind of an advantage of Edge in my opinion. But we're in Google here, and we've set that up, and we're going to download this file. So I'm going to go download CDR, and by default, a file will download to a temporary directory. That's the default behavior of any file that's downloaded in Windows or Mac. It's going to get downloaded to a temporary directory, and it's just going to sit there until we move it. Now, one of the things that a lot of times people will do is they will download their files very specifically to their downloads folder, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. But what I'm going to do is I've set up a shortcut to my template downloads folder for our Smart Designer software. So I've added a quick access to template download. So we're going to download it here, and it's just going to download. It's already in there, so it's probably going to ask me to replace it possibly. Nope, because I've never opened it before. So here's the little trick I was going to show you. If you come down here, once you do this once, and you can click on Always Open Files of this type, okay? You can click on that. So watch what happens the next time I download this file. What's going to happen the next time, it's going to, if Corel isn't already open, it's going to open Corel and the file will be there. And the same thing if you're doing the Illustrator version of the file. If the file wasn't already open, it would open Illustrator and the file would pop up. So that's that little tweak that you have to do right there. And so here it is, the file's just sitting in CorelDRAW. All my colors are down here because there's the document color palette. I'm just going to hit F4 so we can kind of zoom in on this, and then we're going to localize this file. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over here to edit text. This is a feature in the Smart Designer Docker. All this stuff is Smart Designer stuff. And I'm going to go to Templates, Edit Text. And I'm going to hit this little refresh button right here. And the reason I have to hit the refresh button is because I imported this graphic into an open document. I'm not opening something. And so I just have to refresh the text values. And there they are. There's all the text values. So let's see here. Let's localize this to something completely different. Let's go and say, hey, it's baseball season. It's coming up. So let's go down here and change track and field to baseball, because a template is merely a placeholder waiting for a fresh idea. And over here, where the 20 is, DM, we'll change that. And then where the XX is, we're going to change this to HS, okay? And Madison, we're going to change that to Desert Mountain. And watch what happens. When I start typing in mountain, you see how it's going to compress, because that's the way the template's built. Well, it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. It's not a it's not a baseball image, so we probably need a baseball image. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come down here, I'm going to go to Edit Text and close that, and I'm going to go to Change Art. And there's a couple different ways I can change art. Number one, I'm going to click on Show Preview, and then I can highlight the part that's going to change. So that's that shoe. So I could go down here and hit on Select, and if I hit on Select, I'm going to open the template browser, and it's going to open the template browser. But I can also select this artwork by selecting it through the GraphicsFlow system. So we'll do it both ways. With the template browser, I could go over here and click on clip art, and if I've previously downloaded files, and I don't know if I've downloaded anything to do with baseball, I haven't, but if we wanted to put this football image in there, which we wouldn't, but just in case we did, we could click that. That's a smart designer feature. It's just a quick, easy way for us to scroll through our art. I'm going to hit Control Z once, Control Z again to go back to the original, and I'll show you another way to do this. The other way I could do it is through GraphicsFlow. It's just the way I want to do it, because I got this great search. And I'm going to come down here and we're going to switch to clip art. And then we are going to type in baseball, and we are going to get a lot of images. We type in baseball. Now, pro tip, you could also type in, if you chose to, you could also type in soccer. You could type in softball. The template is just a placeholder, and for this particular design, I have to kind of decide like, what I want to do as far as like, this is actually a softball. So they're keyworded, baseball and softball are keyworded together. So we have to kind of decide what we want to do with this design. Now, here's the thing, we could go with, because we got a lot of images. We got 409 images to click through here. We could go with something simple like, this batting helmet with the crossbats. We could go with just a nice, simple, clean baseball. We could go with the ball and the glove. We could go with the diamond. We got a lot of different options here, and they're just populating as I'm scrolling down through my window. And so, I'm interested in finding something that kind of gels with the template. And with that template, that area up in there, kind of like the crossbats. Kind of like this, actually. Or we could go this route. I don't know, I got a lot of options here. Let us do it. Let's take a look at the template again. In here, I'm thinking like something with crossbats. And then how about crossbats with the mascot? That'd be fun. So we could do that. So we'll start off with crossbats, and then maybe we'll pull the mascot in there. So let's just find simple crossbats right here. And we're going to download that one. And then their mascot's a wolf. We'll download a wolf as well. And then we have pretty much all the parts and pieces. Now, if I was going to do vinyl, something like vinyl, I wouldn't pick something like this, because this file is there's a lot involved in doing this, and I'd have to dumb this thing down. But we can definitely do it that way as well. We can dumb it down. So let's see how our little image is doing here. Yeah, it looks good. So I'm just gonna paste that into here, and we don't need this guy in here anymore. And we might try it, we don't like it. You never know. You try things, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to go order, and I'm going to push it behind the layer. So I'm going to go to backup page. So I'm not sure I like that. I definitely don't like that. So you try something. If you like it, you don't. We might just do the mascot instead. To tell you the truth, I think in this case, I think the mascot is going to be better. So I'm going to type in wolf. And now if I happen to have the wolf mascot for this particular client, then I could just go and import their artwork, and I might actually have that artwork stored in my GraphicsFlow account. But let's go down here and we'll find a wolf that we like. And we've got all kinds of cool wolves that we can choose from. And big bad wolf. And I kind of like this guy right here, kind of a howling wolf. I think that's actually really close to the Desert Mountain logo. So we're gonna download that file. Now here's the thing, this file's got a lot of colors in it. So thinking about in terms of production processes, what we're gonna do with this file first is we're gonna set it up for screen printing. And then we are gonna build it up to digital process, and then we're gonna deconstruct it for vinyl. That's exactly what we're gonna do with the file. Because I want to show you how you can take one file that's kind of like a middle ground file, and take that middle ground file and make it more complex for digital and make it simpler for screen. And what we're gonna end up with is with basically the same file in multiple variations. So here's the file. We're gonna come over here to our design and we're gonna pop that in there. And yeah, it looks good. So I'm gonna bring this over here, bring this over here, and then I'm gonna pop this behind again. Order, back a page. And I'm gonna bring that up just a little bit. All right. And it could touch. Now here's the thing, there's all kinds of fun stuff you could do. You can make it huge and you could have the whole thing behind there too. So, you know, it's kind of up however you want to do it, but I'm kind of feeling it like maybe like that. And do I need this bar here? No, not really. I could go and ungroup this or break this apart and then just delete the bar. We don't really need the bar. Yeah, it looks good without the bar. Then we got the little drop shadow here. So I'm pretty happy. These are pretty well designed here. What I might do here, I'll show you a cool little trick. You can remove the envelopes from these. So you say clear transformations and it takes the envelope off of these so you can change the kerning. And so now watch, I can grab my shape tool and do this. I can do this too. So looking good. Okay, so we got our design starting to come together. So I'm gonna save this as a save as. Anytime you go directly from the web to the design, you need to do a save as because you are working on the original. And so the original is gonna stay in that folder that we downloaded it to. And this is the copy. Save as is making a copy. And so I'm gonna go over here and create a Desert Mountain folder. I think I have an untitled folder I haven't named yet in here, maybe not. Yep, I do, somewhere in there. And we're gonna call this Desert Mountain. And we are going to save this Desert Mountain Baseball, which is funny because we know a lot of people that played on Desert Mountain Baseball. It's funny, my wife was a substitute teacher once and she had to substitute there and she had to be in charge of the baseball team class where they were just doing weight training. It was funny. And the guys were, well, what do you know about weight training? Well, I've been a fitness instructor for 25 years. So I was like, all right, take a seat, young man. All right, so here's the design. We got to get this production ready, okay? So Desert Mountain's colors that they utilize are going to be burgundy, kind of a really nice burgundy cardinalish color. They also utilize black, they use gray, and they use white. So the way we're designing this is going to be dependent on the substrate we're printing on. So we're gonna print this onto gray, and then we can do a modification to change the colors. But for screen printing, what I want to do is I want to get this narrowed down to a set number of colors. And I could manually recolor this just by selecting things, but I don't really want to do that. What I want to do instead is I want to go over here and use Smart Designer to change the colors. And you notice we have the little edit colors thing and all the colors are showing up and there's 9 colors. We do not want 9 colors. You know what I want? I want the original colors. So I want 1 blue, two blues right here. I want the gold-ish yellow and the white. That's it. Those are the only colors I want. And I'm going to click on reduce. And then Smart Designer is going to go and reduce those colors. Now what it's done with the wolf is it's made the wolf into shades of the original blue. So the blue is 280, and then these are all shades of 280. And we can print that. If we're screen printing, we can print that. Do I want to print it that way? I don't think so, but I do need to think through this design and how I want to color this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am definitely going to change this color, and we're definitely going to swap that out with burgundies. And what I can do, if I do a swap, I can uncheck selected tints right here. You see that? I'm going to uncheck that, and I'm going to hit swap. And when I swap this to burgundy, it's going to swap the shades as well as the parent color. So when we go in and swap this to burgundy, the parent color is going to get swapped as well as all the shades. And the color I'm kind of going for, kind of want to do something in the kind of cardinal range. Yeah, that's about perfect right there. So do you see how all the shades changed? That's because I had this button unchecked. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the, it looks like the other blue, this blue right here, and I'm going to change that to, I'm going to change it to black. So we're going to swap this out with black. So that gets swapped out to black. Now this is starting to come together. And then what I want to do with this design, I want to do a little bit of manual coloring using shades of black. And then we're going to work on the wolf head. Okay. So this shadow right here is solid black. But what I can do is I can make it gray simply by clicking on it and going over here and sliding this down to a shade of black. And I'm going to make it kind of more like a charcoal because this is going to go on like an ash colored shirt. So you see what we did there? And I think I'm going to do the same thing with this color inside the word baseball. So watch this. You ready? I'm going to grab the dropper and I'm going to sample that color. We're going to drop that in there. Okay. Now, if I want to get crazy, I could put white in there too, but I'm pretty happy with this, and I do want this to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to make it bigger, and I'm holding my Shift key down because that allows me to size it from the center out versus from left to right. So Shift allows me to do that. Okay. All right, looking good. All right, let's play with this guy. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the background here this gray. Actually, we're going to make the background black. So we're going to make the background black, and then we're going to do shades of gray. And I'm going to use that same gray that we were using over here. I'm just using my dropper. That same gray to be the secondary tone. And then what we're going to do is we could do some manual coloring with this. I'm going to take this whole piece right here. It's all one piece. I'm going to make it the same black, but then I'm going to make it even a lighter shade of gray. So watch what I do. I'm going to make this even lighter shade of gray. So we're kind of getting into this. And then this right here, that layer right there, we can make it the same black and make that an even lighter shade. We can make it white if we wanted to. So we're making that even lighter. So if we go over here and we update the colors over here in the swap colors, we can see what's going on. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shades of black, and we got white, and we got burgundy. That's it. I can see one thing that I can definitely do is I can definitely take this burgundy and make the background of that burgundy, and I can definitely take this and make that black. And that is actually going to help the design. It got rid of a shade. Now I got 3 shades, and I'm pretty happy with that. I think for consistency purposes, though, this needs to be gray in here. So got it. This is my design. I can just cycle the little color thing, and I can clearly see 1 burgundy, 1 black with 2 shades of black and white. That's it. This design is actually 3 colors. You know, I can tell that because if I go over here, there's a little button there I can turn the tints on or off. See that? 3 colors right here. And here it is with the tints, which are shades or what we'd call halftones. So let's make sure that file is saved. And this is ready to go. We can print film for this. So if you're going to print film for color separations on this, what you do is you go File, Print. You would select your printer. I'm going to just use the PostScript independent driver here. I'm going to go to Color, Separations. And here's your separations right here. That's your separations. I am going to go turn all this jazz off though. Under pre-press, we're going to turn off this, this, and this. So we don't have to see all that stuff. So here's your color separations. Now the other thing I can do is I can create what's called on-screen color separations. And on-screen color separations is we're actually creating a multi-page document from the file. And I'm going to create some separations real quick so you can see that. That's a Smart Designer thing. I'm going to go to Printing and Cutting. And I'm going to go over here and go to Color Separations. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Halftone Wizard. And the Halftone Wizard is going to show me all these shades. And I want to take all these shades of the black right here. and I want to apply my PostScript settings to this. Simple spot color print on light, we'll say on dark substrate. It's going to put this dot, this frequency and angle, apply that to that graphic so that when that prints and somebody has a PostScript printer or a RIP software, those will print as dots of black versus solid or a shade. They'll print as dots of black. Those dots of black will give the appearance of a lighter color. So basically, with these frequencies, dots, and angles is determining the size of the dot, the angle of the rows of the dots, and the shape of the dot. And so we're applying this to those art objects so that if we have a film printer that's PostScript, or we have a PostScript RIP, it prints the dots the way we want to have them. And so that's been done. You won't see it on the screen. So that part's done. Then over here, we're going to go to separate colors, and we're going to click on show tints because we got to separate the tints. And remove control curves will take away any kind of text on a path that's going on so we don't get a blob under there. And then we're just going to create color separations. This would be on-screen separations right here. And the advantage of an on-screen separation, you can actually see it. It's a single document with multiple pages. You have your seps right here. So that is your sep for burgundy. You notice there's a color key right here. There's a sep for the black with the shades right here. And then here's the sep for the white. And if you're printing this on a light garment like white, you could not print that separation, just ignore it. I've got it set up so we got calibration and crop marks on there, but we don't necessarily need that. One thing that we would do, though, if this was going on dark, is we'd underbase it. Since this is going to go on a gray shirt, we don't have to put a white underbase on it. But if we did, we would go over here and we'd go to flash base, and we'd say, hey, listen, I want to do a flash base. I'm going to use this setting of 100 and 255 to omit the darkest colors from the flash base. And I can do a choke or a spread. A choke will make the flash base just a little bit smaller than the graphic. And I want to create a flash base of white. And I'm going to hit apply. And it's going to create the flash base. And the flash base is only going under the super light colors. It's only going to really, in this case, it's going to go under the burgundy and the light grays. It's not going to go under the dark colors because we don't need to flash under dark colors. I'm going to undo this. I could, if I wanted to, I could force a big old blob underbase under this whole thing. You know, if you guys feel like you have the need to do that and that's something you want to do, we have given you the ability to do that. Being involved in screen printing for 40 years, I cringe when I see people do that because it just creates such a heavy-handed shirt. And you don't have to do that. You really don't. But you have that latitude to do that if you choose to. So there you go. So there's your separation. So we got our screen printing file all set up. Screen printing file, good to go. All right, so let's go in and let's really have some fun, and let's do the second variation. Let's go. We'll do vinyl next. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say duplicate page, copy the layers to a new page, and we're going to rename this page. We're going to rename this page vinyl. So vinyl right there. And then over here, we're going to call this screen. Okay. So for vinyl, what we want to do is we want to avoid having intersecting paths. So the first thing I'm going to do is we don't really need these drop shadows here. So we can go to wireframe view. You can see the spaghetti. This is what we call no bueno for vinyl right here because you got all these intersecting paths. So it's not going to really take very much effort to make this simpler for vinyl. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these layers here. Okay. Second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the entire design, and I'm going to right click on the little no color thing here to turn all the outlines off. Do you guys see that? I'm going to do a little bit of compensation. I'm going to move this up so it's a little bigger. I just use my arrow key here, and I'm going to move this up. And then the wolf, I'm going to move it up a little bit so it's not touching over here. Let's see. I'm gonna move that over here. So I guess I should have done that with the other one, is centered it up a little bit. So the bigger issue that I'm gonna have, and I'm just gonna draw some guides out here. The bigger issue that I'm gonna have is gonna be the wolf. Now here's the thing with this wolf, Can move them over. We can move the wolf over so he's more centered. Is we need to look at it in wireframe view. This is where having this artwork constructed a very specific way becomes really nice for you guys. And because of the way we develop the artwork at GraphicsFlow is I can delete that and the background color can come through if I want. Okay, so we can delete that, or we could trim it through. I guess we could trim that through if we wanted to and delete it. So that's one option. So you could do that, go that route. But what I would do on this design, I would probably be inclined to a little bit of recoloring here. So what if we went in and make that same color like that, that. Now you got a file that's pretty simple. And in Corel, what you can do is you can use the simplify function. So you go over here and you click on, instead of trim, click on simplify. And we should be able to trim all that through. But what honestly, really all we want is this to be white. And we might on this guy. That's pretty much all you need right there. It's up to you. Now, here's the thing. On this file right here, there's a lot going on in this file here. And you got these sharp little points. And sharp little points for weeding on vinyl aren't necessarily kind of an optimal situation. I'll show you one thing you can do too that's kind of neat, is if you want to create separate objects out of these, if you go and use your Smart Fill tool, you can go and do that. And you can actually create separate objects. I don't know if you guys know you could do that. But on this design, I think what I want to do is just have it. Now let's see if we do it this way and get rid of the background color and get rid of this. I think that's a little bit better for the purposes of this design. Yep, that's definitely better. Yep, it's looking pretty good. So, you know, these parts right here, these are all parts, these are all separate little graphic parts here. And so one of the challenges that we have, because this was segregated, that is going to create cut lines when we go in to set this file up. We could do, there's another version of this mascot that's just black and white. That would have been the easier way to do it, but try something real quick here. Let's try something. Yeah, that did the trick right there. When we used the auto weld feature in the StoneCut software, it welded all those paths together, so it actually created a complete object there, which is pretty handy for doing this file. And that's a secondary byproduct of the StoneCut cutting software. It has this powerful welding function, but I'm pretty happy with that. What I am going to do is I'm going to recolor this all to burgundy, and I can either manually recolor it, or easier than that, just do it this way, do it through Smart Designer. If I just go over here to Smart Designer and I say color management and scan the colors, I would take this color here, this color here, and what is that, Pantone 401, and just say swap, and type in the color number. It's actually 201, and then go that route. Oh, I'll show you one little trick here. Don't have link tints change, because it'll keep the original shade. Remember, that's a shade color. So do it this way, and then that way it won't have any shades. Was it 201, right? There you go. There's your file ready for vinyl cutting. This is what you're going to cut, and that's what you're going to weed. It's not as exciting because it's for vinyl, but it works and it's not a hard file to weed. You would want to take this area right here, and in Smart Designer, I would go down to Object Shaping, and I would click on Fast Weld to weld that together so it's a unified path. So see how I did that? So here's the before, here's the after, but this is a fun little file, and we could do, you could put some glitter in here too, so we could make it a 2-color. So let's do this. Let's there's the original, there's the, wait, oh, we're backwards, aren't we? So this is vinyl now, and this is the screen. So let's go over here and let's do another variation of this, duplicate page. And then we'll call this glitter. And let's go and take a look. I'm gonna get out of wireframe view and see what's going on. Okay, so let's change the background color of this shirt. So let's go ahead and just for grins, I'm gonna go over here and go to page background. Let's just make this black for now. So let's go and make it black. Where's my black on here? I know oh, right here. So we'll make that black. And let's see here. This part, we're going to do an inlay. So this part is going to be glitter. And what I would do is if I'm using I got this little icon over here for the Rhinestone Designer software that comes with Smart Designer. We got all the cool glitter vinyl functions. So I'd go down here, go to Vinyl Fills, and let's select that and change that to a silver glitter. All right, like that. I'll make that glitter. And then this, so we'll do that as an inlay. And this right here, we'll make that glitter. And then pretty much everything else I'm just gonna make, could make it a second color of glitter, but I could also just make it like white thermoflex, which I think would look really good. Or, I don't know, man, I'm not feeling it. I feel like this is going on black. We could make it all glitter, make it burgundy glitter. That would be ridiculous, honestly. So let's see here. We'll either love it or we'll hate it. Yeah, it looks pretty sweet, actually. I don't know, it's almost like it's too much. I think if we change the background color a little bit, I think it's going to stand out a little bit better. But we'll see. Yeah, actually, I like it. It looks good. I think this, if this goes to the background color, and we come down here and we make that just white thermoflex, you try things, you see if they look, yeah, way better. And then this right here becomes white thermoflex in the middle. And then this becomes, tell you the truth, make it easy on your weeding. There you go. Make life easy for yourself. And I think these two, now here's the thing. The reason I would do it this way is this is all one piece of vinyl, and this is all one piece of vinyl. And then I don't have any waste in there. So that'd be a pretty good way to do that. You could do some fun things too, like since you're doing vinyl on this desert mountain right here, we could go in there if we wanted to in Smart Designer and add an outline effect. And that would actually, I think you're gonna see this is actually gonna improve the quality of the design quite a bit. If we go over here to outlines and we go to these cutting effects, I'm just gonna do double outline, no drop shadow, and I'm gonna punch the inline layer through, and I'm going to remove underlays, which is going to get rid of, it's not going to stack the colors. So if we hit apply on that, you see how it's removing the space in between there? I'm going to undo that, and we're going to change this to be like 0.04, probably double the thickness of that. And this whole thing, we're going to make it white. So we're going to make the whole darn thing white. So this becomes white too. And look how much better that is. Now here's the thing, this M, this is a preference thing, and this is just the way this M is created. And so if you don't like that big spike on the M, you can get rid of it. All you got to do is just go in here and delete it. So you can move this node up if you want. If you want to move that node up there, and you can start deleting nodes. Just go in here and start nuking them. And then that's just coming in like that. It's up to you. I would probably nub it off, do something like this. Double click to put a node in here. Double click on that. Do something like this. And if you want to even those out, you can just select both those nodes. You just go over here and go to alignment, and then you can just select them, and then you go over here to align nodes horizontally, and then you can just stretch them down. Now, one thing I would definitely recommend doing is taking snap to and turning that off, so that way you can do it like this, and it doesn't start shifting around. No, actually, I think that looks pretty good. Let's see if we like it. We're going to zip back out. Definitely like it. All right, there's our glitter design. Let's save that one. Okay, and then let's get full digital. So full digital, that's where we can really have some fun. So full digital, what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate that page, and this will be digital. And we don't have to be worried about the number of colors in here. We don't have to be worried about colors. We don't have to be worried about anything. We can just do what we want. And so some of the things that we can do, and it depends on if it's going to be on light or darks. I am going to take this file, and I'm going to turn the page background off. The easiest way to do that, if you're in Smart Designer, the easiest way to do that is when you go to templates, just turn the page off like that. But we're going to start deconstructing this. So I don't need all this. Don't need all that. I'm going to get rid of the outline by right-clicking. We're going to leave all this stuff alone. I'm going to get rid of this outline here. And we're going to kind of build it up for the ground up. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a dynamic text effect in here that's geared towards digital. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go over here to Effects. And I'm going to click on the Effects Docker in Smart Designer. And instead of doing these cut effects, I'm going to do these digital effects. And so I've got all these different digital effects I can just click on, and they can add all the different drop shadows and all of that kind of stuff. I want to, in this particular case, I want to do something that's got some gradients and blends, and there's a couple advantages to doing that. When we do a graphic that has a gradient or blend, it actually reduces the amount of ink that's being used, which is kind of cool. And also it helps cover up any imperfections in the substrate. If you're doing a t-shirt and it's got any kind of like a raised bump in it or stitching issue, it's pretty apparent when you're digitally printing onto that. It'll stick out. Screen printing covers it because it's thick, but by putting these blends and gradients on these, you really don't see them. And by the way, every single aspect of this file is editable, so I can go over here and click on this shadow and just clear it, because I don't really like, for this, I don't really like the shadow. I can also take this blend and I can select it. Actually, easiest way to do it is just drag and drop it. I can drop it onto another object. I don't really want to do that with the baseball. With the baseball, I could try the same effect and see if we like it. And to me, it's competing. It's like two different things. I think it's competing a little bit too much. Now, maybe if we make this burgundy, and we put the blend on there. Maybe then I'll like it. So we'll try it. And maybe it's the same color variation, but I'll show you what I'm gonna do. This is gonna be real cool. So you're getting the real full treatment here. Okay, we're gonna reverse this blend. So I'm gonna click on this and I'm gonna click on Found Fill and we're gonna reverse this. And we just flipped it over and we want this to say 90. But so now you see how these two blends are coming together? Then this and this, I definitely want to weld this together. So I'm going to do fast weld because we're going to apply a cool little text effect to this. So I definitely want to weld this together. Once I weld it, and I don't have the ability to go in there and type text anymore. It's done. So I'm going to go over here and go to Object Shaping and Smart Designer, and we're going to weld that together. So I'm just going to hit Fast Weld, and then we're going to try some beveling. And I'm going to make these the gray. We're going to come down here, we're going to add gray to these, and we're going to bevel these out. And so I'm just going to go down here and kind of zoom in. I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to go over here, we're going to click on this, and in Smart Designer, I'm going to go down here to where it says Effects, and I'm going to click on Quick Effects. And the quick effect that I'm interested in is a soft bevel. So we're just going to apply a bevel, and that's given that dimension. So we're going to add the bevel to that, and we're going to do the same thing to the script text. We're going to add the bevel, but to the script text, we're going to go in and we're going to do one more thing. We're going to add a highlight white. And so we're just going to click on the highlight white, and we're going to give it the white highlight. Look how much better that looks. On the text up here, the top text is interesting. We got all these cool effects. We could just sell out and do the same thing up here. And to tell you the truth, I think that's what's gonna look the best. Yep, it sure does. And then we're gonna come down here, create the highlight, and what we got to do these separately. I always forget that. Okay, bevel. See if I got enough undos to undo them. Because when you do the bevel effect, it turns it into a bitmap, and then they're all combined together. So we're going to do them independently. So there's that. There's that. There's this. There's this. And really the question is what to do with the, we don't really need the highlight in there. Actually, I kind of like it without the highlight. I'm not really sure. I don't really like the highlight. I'm just going to leave it. Might do the highlight on this one, but leave the top one without the highlight. Yeah, I think it looks good. All right, so what do we want to do with this guy? So this guy, what I want to do is I want to do some shading in here. And there's no reason for this to be solid. Okay, so the background, having the background solid, that's fine. But these foreground areas, there's no reason for these to be solid. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to effects again, and we're going to go to these quick fill effects. And we have these little presets. And right here, and this is where we can just add some nice fun little kind of gradient stuff going on here. And we're going to try it. We might like it, we might not. Yeah, it's cool. Gives that nice little gradient effect. Over here we can do the same thing. See if we like it. Nah, too much. This background here, I'm going to bevel that. So that's got some dimension. And the black here, the black, I don't know what to do with the black. Try beveling that too. Doesn't really help. The bevel doesn't really help, but you know what would help in here would be a gradient, I think. And so I'm going to come over here and I'm actually going to drop some transparency in here. So I'm just going to go over here and grab my transparency tool. Right here. And add some transparency to that. That's actually pretty cool, man. That actually helps a lot. So see how it's all blending into red from here. We had that little bit of transparency in there. The only thing is like this little object here. I'm gonna break that apart. Yeah, now you can kind of see it. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. So look how much more dimension that has. Holy smokes. And let's see what it looks like on a dark shirt, like jet black shirt. See what it looks like. Yeah, boom. That's killer. We could probably we could have probably lightened up this color a little bit, but look how awesome that looks on a dark shirt. I mean, that's how you roll. So, basically what we've done is we've taken the same design and we've multiplied it um, across multiple processes. And what's cool, now we can create complementary products from this. So I'm going to save this file. So we could create from a virtual sampling point of view, if I'm doing digital printing and like UV printing, I can put this on it. Let's go set this up on a few products. So I could set this up on a black tee, obviously. So we'll set this up on a black t-shirt real quick, and I'm going to use Smart Designer's virtual sampling feature. And tell you the truth, this is going to look good on. It's going to look on. This is going to look on good on. Actually, an ash gray is going to look killer with this. So looks great. So there's that. So that's product one. Let's see here. Let's go and do a different product for each one of these. Okay, screen printing. I think we're just going to do a boring Oxford tee, maybe. Okay, see something right out of the chute. Grab my colors. This needs to have white fill. So you won't know that till you get it on the shirt. That's pretty spiff right there. Could do a weathered overlay on that too. So let's try it. Let's do a mesh weathered overlay. So I'm just clicking a little button and overlays is going to come up, and I'm going to sample the shirt color, and I want to make sure this little button is selected. That makes sure that the overlay is the color shirt. I'm just going to hit J for jersey. And we're going to do a jersey mesh overlay on that. Not the whole thing, just the graphic. And we're going to either love it or hate it. And I love it. Loving it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so let's keep going, man. We're on a roll. Glitter. Glitter, that's just got to go on a boring black ladies tee. Sorry. So let's see here. Glitter, 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 virtual samples. And boring black tee, probably a ladies cut tee, actually. Yep, right here. District made perfect tee. That is literally the perfect tee. Let's see what we like it. We'll either love it or we'll hate it. Drum roll, please. Hate to do this, but I think this part needs to be the glitter. Pretty sure it does. Yep, it does. Now I think I can take. If I want to be lazy about this, I could just go and click on this again and just go and apply it. So I'll just pop Rhinestone Designer up here again. Now here's the thing, if you wanted to be out of control, now this is out of control, by the way, we're into out of control land. What would be amazing, and this would be a terrible waste of material, but glittering inside it like that, probably making this white, this whole thing. Oh my God, this is gonna be crazy. No, it's gonna be really, you're gonna have to charge a ton of money for this, by the way, because all the labor that's gonna go into all this, but it would be so worth it. Make that there, and then this right here, that should be white, and this whole thing should be white. Look at that. That, as my kids would say, is sick, Dad. Okay, so we're loving that. Marching on down the line, vinyl. Simple, basic, boring vinyl. Let's make this thing white on a burgundy shirt. Why not? So let's get ourselves a burgundy shirt. You guys always like to see how I add product blanks, so let's do that. Let's add a product blank here because you guys always want to see that. So we'll go over to Sanmar's website. And we are going to go to t-shirts, 100% cotton. And I'm going to go to good old, right now you don't really have much choice in terms of what t-shirts. Oh, there's a sale on beefy tees. Let's see. And do they have a deep red color? Oh yeah. And they also have burgundy. Desert Mountain's more like that. And here's how we're going to get this product like. Watch. I'm going to click on the t-shirt. I'm going to click on here to get this higher res version to pop up. This is what I'm going to right click to copy. Copy image. What is this? Hanes Beefy Tee. What's the color? Deep red. Okay, so we're going to go over here and we're just going to paste this in to Corel. I can make it smaller. And then I'm going to grab my cropping tool here and I'm just going to crop out this white area here. No, we just double click to get, that's just a housekeeping thing. So this is selected, ready? Watch. In your virtual samples, just click on placement and it's going to give you the image area. And I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. And then I'm just going to put it in my, I guess this is my Sanmar folder. Could make a Hanes folder. Nah, I'm just going to throw it in there. So we're just going to drag and drop it in there. We're going to name it and we're going to call this Hanes Beefy Tee Deep Red. And we'll hit OK. And then I'm not going to recolor the image until the image is not getting recolored until it's on the shirt. So I'm just going to click on the image and we're going to throw this in. It's going to be under H, so I can just type in H in here and go to H's and click on it. And then let's go and make it all white. White. Get rid of that background. I don't need it. Make bleeding easy again. There you go. That's looking good. And then I don't know. Do we have any other ones that we have to do? We did vinyl. We did glitter. We did screen. We did digital. And let's do digital on a water bottle. Why not? So we're gonna go over here and go to hydration. Complementary products. And let's put that bad boy on this cool little stainless steel tumbler. And yeah, it does look cool. Then we could take it over to embroidery. I could convert it to embroidery and drawings, make a hat, all kinds of neat things we can do. But we're just gonna cut it off here. So how are we gonna get this in front of the customer? That's easy. So I'm gonna go and save all these files. So I'm going to save all these files into the same folder. Okay. Come on, mouse. There we go. I love my new mouse, but it goes to sleep once in a while. And then we're going to call this Desert Mountain Deep Red Tea. Save that. Which one is this one? Is this one we're doing? No, this is Oxford Tea. There's that. And I think we got our crew neck. And then this is our ash crew neck. And we're going to save this one. And this is going to be our ash crew. Now, here's the thing. On these files, if you want to create PNGs of each one of these images, you can do that. So, you know, for just for the purposes of like web graphics, you can do a PNG of these. All you got to do is just export each one of these as a PNG file. It's not hard to do. And this for web, that would be a good move. This is a multi-page document. So if these are individual files, it would be a little bit easier to do it, but not really any more difficult. But let's go ahead and do this. Export that as a PNG file, because these are going to look real cool. And then we'll export that as a PNG file. And this is purely just for visual reference. Glitter. So I've got all the files associated with this job. They're all in one place. And I think this was going to be, we'll leave it colored. We got it. We got all of it. And just for grins, we could do a white version of that one if we wanted to, but I don't need to. So I got to get it in front of the customer. I got this whole program together. And this program, I'm going to use this program for a bunch of other schools too. I'm not going to use it just for this school. And so I'm going to go over here in my GraphicsFlow account to My Art, and I'm going to create a folder, and we're going to call that folder Desert Mountain Baseball. Actually, we're going to call it Desert Mountain, period. And then inside the Desert Mountain folder, we're going to do a subfolder, and we're going to call it Baseball. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add all these files to this folder. So all the art assets for this are going to go in this folder. And I'm doing that for a couple of reasons. Number one, I can share it with the customer. So that's the first things. I don't need to save the backup file in there. Number two, it's safely and securely stored in the cloud. So I don't have to worry about somebody's computer pooping out on me and then we're, you know, in a bad spot. Okay. Number three, I can easily add it to an art approval from at this point. And so we'll backtrack once we get that done, but it's just, I get the previews. It's great. I mean, I can see the full version of the file here. I can even preview the CDR file. So everything is previewed. The main file that is the production file is actually this one. This is the multi-page document. That's the production file. And I can go in here. I can put all my production data in here. So I could go and say this is a DTG print or direct to film transfer. That'd be a real cool way to do that one. And this one is, you know, rhinestone multi-decoration or glitter, all that kind of stuff. So what I want to do is I'm going to create an art approval for the client, and then we'll just call it Desert Mountain Baseball. And this is how we're going to, and I'll copy you guys all on this. Okay, so let's go down here and type in Desert Mountain Baseball. Concepts. And so a couple ways to do it. I could just go over here to My Art and go to the Desert Mountain folder. That'd be one way of doing it. Or I could go over to My Art and add it to this one. That's another way of doing it. Same basic premise. So I'm going to say, well, first things first, I'm going to select all these files. And I'm going to add tags to them. So I'm going to go to Edit Tags, and I'm going to add a tag for Desert Mountain. And I'm going to add a tag for Baseball. And I'm going to add a tag for Wolf. So I can now search for these files by any of those attributes. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Then I'm going to take this one, this one, this one, this one, all these PNG files, and we are going to, and might as well take these too, all the mock-ups, pretty much going to take the whole thing. And we're going to add these to that art approval. So we're just going to add it to that art approval. And so basically we're creating an instant web page that's a showcase. So now I can send the link to this web page showcase. I can send it to the customer. I could post this in my Facebook page too if I wanted to and pin it, because this is an instant web showcase just for this client. All the art collateral for this client is now stored in this instant web showcase. They can go approve these files. I can go in here if I want to, and let's say I want to change the background color of this one because I think we were doing black. So I'm going to go into this file and we're going to change the background color to black. I can do that right in my GraphicsFlow account. Boom. It's in there. If I want to watermark this, and because I don't trust this customer, which is possible, so if I want to go and watermark it, I can watermark it. I can go in here and put a big old fat watermark on it. I don't really feel like the need to do that. In this case, I'm not feeling like it's something that's mandatory, but I can do that, and I can also turn it off. And I'm not going to put the watermark on here. I'm just going to say none, and we're going to turn that watermark off. Then these ones, the first thing I want them to see is this one. So I'm going to move this one to the top. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the graphics at the top. And so I want all the actual graphics at the top of the, so I want them to see that first before they see the mock-ups. So this is what I want them to see first. And I can't go in here and change the background colors of this. So we could go in and change the background colors. So this one, I might put it on the gray background. It's up to me. So I'm going to use this for a couple of things. Thing number one, I'm going to use this for getting this deal closed. I'm going to use this to get this deal closed. And I can go put all kinds of notes in here. And, I could go and put in a note that says screen printed graphic, graphic 48 piece minimum. So we could put that in there. This right here, I could say vinyl graphic, 12 piece minimum. Okay, over here, we could just say glitter vinyl, 12 piece minimum. 24, we're gonna make that 24, it's more work. And over here on this one, DTG print, 1 piece minimum. Whatever you want it to say. This is basically almost becoming a catalog page. And all the work in here, you can put whatever notes in here, but this is an instant web page. And so if I'm gonna share this with a client, I'm just gonna invite them to collaborate, put their email in, and they're gonna get an email saying, hey man, here's your art approval, and you can put whatever you want in the body of the email. And then over here, this is the link to this page that if you're on the live, I'm gonna put you in the chat and you guys can look at this page too. All right, if I want to have higher resolution versions of the virtual samples, I need to save these as PNG files. It's going to give me a much higher resolution. But this is what the customer's looking at. And so this is how professional organizations operate. We've taken one graphic, we've produced it across multiple processes. The processes are going to dictate the minimum order quantities. Maybe the customer doesn't want to do a big order, and they don't want to set up for screen printing, so maybe we order transfers in. We call over our good friend Mark Heiss over at Yellow Springer, and we say, hey Mark, we need 2 dozen direct to film transfers, and order those transfers, and we press, maybe it's going to be a huge order and they're really conscientious about price. Says, hey, we can screen print these, it's going to be 300 pieces. Yeah, it's going to make more sense to screen print them. So, being able to create complementary products, one of the advantages of being able to do that is it's an upsell, right? So that upsell means we sell them the t-shirt, the crew neck, and the tumbler versus just going in. And they're not going to be thinking of these other peripheral products unless we lead with that. If we lead with complementary products to show them our capabilities, what everybody wants isn't what everybody's going to get. What everybody wants is clients to mindlessly go through their website, design their own graphics, pick out their own products, price it out themselves, and submit the order, right? That would be great if clients were willing to do that. But if clients are willing to do that, they wouldn't need us. And so what we want to do them is engage them in the conversation, and the way we engage them in the conversation is through artwork first. Artwork should always be first. The first thing you're talking to, I don't want to talk to the customer about what shirt we're going to put it on or what we're going to put it on, because then I got to talk to them about price. I want them hooked on the graphic before we get to the pricing conversation. They come in here and they start, you send them this art approval and they start looking at it and they really connect with one of the graphics, like, hey, the one I actually really like is this digital one. And we're like, hey, that's great, because we can do that on a direct to film transfer. We can do that on a UV print for hard substrate. Um, what's your minimum order, or what's your, when do you guys need these by, and how many do you need? Well, we don't really know what we need. Well, so hey, no problem. We can set up a web store for you, and you guys can go to the web store and order as needed, because this doesn't require any minimum order quantity for this process. And the way that works is we're going to set up the store. We're going to pay you a revenue share for the store, and you're not going to have to order any inventory. Another way of doing it is you would set it up on a web store and say, hey, we're going to run the store for 30 days or 3 weeks. At the end of that 3-week period, we're going to close the store, and then we're going to batch produce all the art, all the work, and we're going to deliver it to you. And we're going to give you a wholesale price, and we'll go from there. I personally don't want to do a wholesale to them. I want to do a revenue share. I want to keep a bigger portion of the profits. And Mark Heiss, who's been on the webcast before, that does this print on demand business model, he says, hey, listen, if they want a lower priced product, then they get a smaller part of the revenue share. They might get 20%. If they want to 30%, then we're going to have to charge more for the product to give them that bigger percentage. That's just a really smart, clever way to do business. The name of the game in the year 2022 is making it easy for your customers to purchase from you. And part of the way you make it easy for your customers to purchase for you is streamlining and expediting this art process. The way we get to this graphic is like this. The way we get there is by creating a showcase of graphics for the customer and sending it out to them and saying, hey, you need XYZ baseball designs. I would just go in and create an art approval real quick and call it baseball concepts and pick out, a top 10 baseball designs. So that would be one way of doing it. Just go in here and say baseball ideas, we'll call it, and go in, your stock art and GraphicsFlow and type in baseball and just pick out your top, 5. Go in just here and pick them out and add them to the little proposal, and you just send them the link to this. Hey coach, here's our top 5 designs. That's way number 1, and that's a cool way to do it. But the cooler way to do it is through your art portal. And you guys have all been sending me your art portals. It's great. I love seeing them. Everyone looks different, but this is a feature of the GraphicsFlow. And so the art portal is where you send the client to go and submit it. And so embedded into their website, it says design ideas. And this is us. This is the art portal from GraphicsFlow. And now the customer goes in there and maybe they're just randomly scrolling through here and they see this. I really like that design, but I'd like it to be baseball. Or they go in here to art portal, click on baseball, they find their favorite design, they put their notes in, and they submit it to you. How cool is that? That is cool. And you get an order. And so one of the questions that came out from a client, she goes, I don't want to have to deal with doing the, mocking these up for everybody that fills one out. I said, listen, if you got people filling these out on your website, that's a lead, man. That's a problem of abundance. And all you're going to do is when that art request comes in your art portal or in your GraphicsFlow account, when that comes in, all you're going to do is email Bob back and say, hey, we got this in. It says local 240 Teamsters. I'm going to email Bob back and say, hey, Bob, we got your art request. Well, what kind of, when do you need these? How many do you need? Do you have a budget so we can figure out what you can put it on? Now you're in a conversation with the customer that wouldn't have initiated if they were out on custom ink, scrounging through graphics or doing a random Google search or whatever. They found you. They're interacting with you. You're sending your customers to pick out their graphics this way so they don't go out to these other websites and they might not come back. So this is the modern way of doing artwork. And part of that process is just understanding how the different artwork preparations work for the different processes. And you got a pretty good idea of how we did that today. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recorded portion of the webcast, and then we will open it up for questions.